All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Real Estate Wholesaling Analysis, where we go through a live series event of analyzing some properties in terms of like for real estate wholesaling or just any other type of strategies that really make sense when it comes to just wholesaling or bringing in some deals to or opportunities to some investors. If you happen to be new here, welcome. Welcome to the first to episode 40. I don't even know at this point, 45, 46, 47, somewhere in that section. So we still have made our 50-point mark, where we host this series every Tuesday and Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We go through some live analysis on some properties out there to determine what will be like the best deals, what makes a deal work, in terms of like the numbers as well too. We go walk through some analysis as well too. And of course, I give you guys some tips in terms of what you guys should be working on in their in your deal. So what things that you should be looking out for, some tips and tricks as well too along the way. If you happen to be coming back again, thank you. I really appreciate your support and coming back again once to continue learning, because when it comes to real estate wholesaling and just real estate overall, it is a business that you constantly have to be repeating as well too. So it's just constant repetition to make sure that you're enhancing your skills. Other than that, the way this series goes is pretty much as following. It goes by first, I'll walk you guys through a quick presentation. Usually takes 10-15 minutes, roughly so. We walk through some key pointers, some key fundamentals as well too, and some some steps as well too along the way. After that, then we dive into some real life analysis. We look through some properties that are just sitting out there on the market, because there are some opportunities out there on the market as well too. It's all about just looking, and of course, the numbers really have to make sense. Of course, afterwards, there's gonna be some Q&A if there happens to be like any questions at all, and if there's like enough people, we go through a breakout room to network with one another. I do apologize. My voice is not 100%, so you'll probably hear me fall off here and there, but if I should be running good, honestly. So let's go through it and let's get started real quick. So first things first is when it comes to real estate wholesaling, there are a series of events and steps to make like a deal work. And the main focus of this series is going through the repairs and the estimated maximum offers that you should bring into the table. But these offers should be you should have a perspective from both your side and also from the buyer side as well too. So that way it really has to make sense. And then when they give you like that feedback or when they let you know where their mind is on the deal, it's really much about like where are their inner numbers, because that's where it really comes down to. The numbers really have to make sense. Um, so we'll walk through that. The first foundation that we're going to have to understand is definitely the ARV, or after repair value. After repair value itself is pretty much the very first foundation when it comes to looking into any single opportunity, where we walk through understanding how much potential does the property have in terms of getting it fixed up and setting it up, relisting it again, or if it's not like a fix up, how much potential does it have, even if you do like make it like a rental, but we have to bring like some updates as well to it. Of course, the way each investor does their formulas is going to be very different from one another. From investor one, two, and three, they're all going to be calculating their offers and their numbers very different from one another. So it is essential for you to understand how each of your buyers do calculate a lot of their numbers. Um, they're all definitely gonna be doing it very differently. So it's always best if, especially if you start building like a buyer's list of 50, 100, 1,000. I recommend putting the highest, who's willing to pay the most and who's willing to pay the least, and then put everybody else in between, so that we can understand that spectrum from there. The next foundation when it comes after the ARV, even the word ARV says it is repairs. Understanding repairs, it is essential if you're trying to be an investor yourself one day, where you want to do some fixing and flipping, or some fixing and holding. Then by all means, you definitely want to understand what kind of things that you're going to be doing in your projects depending on the condition. I like to stick with these numbers. These are going to be price per square foot nationwide that are just going to be very average. When it comes to coming across those states and cities that are very expensive, then the numbers are going to be going up by $15 to $20 more per square foot. And then from there, we could be, again, you just have to be understanding that these numbers are going to be very simple, but don't spend a lot of times on repairs, because spending a lot of times on repairs, it's really like if you're trying to be like the investor trying to buy that property, and you definitely want to find out what exactly. So it's always best to go with the general contractor and get about 3 to 5 quotes if that's going to be like your case. So that way you can understand how much repairs are going to be costing in your area. But if you're just trying to wholesale, you want to keep the numbers as quickly as possible. You don't want to overanalyze the repairs, because again, at the end of the day, an investor, if you bring it over to an investor, you tell them that you need to, they can roughly spend $30,000. They're gonna hit you with some answers like, "Oh, I need to spend more," or some of them that are very conservative, they're like, "I can get away with $20,000." So it really depends. But looking at the repairs, light repairs are gonna be those properties that need very minimal work. They're gonna be fully not fully updated. They're gonna be fully well maintained by the homeowner, or by an investor as well too, if you happen to come across a great rental property. But these light repairs are going to be coming across mainly for those rental properties. Average repairs, these are going to be the more fix and flip type of properties, where we're going to be looking more into fixing the property up, updating it, bring it up to 2024 standards, and then relisting it again in 3 to 6 months, depending on how big the property is as well as too. These are going to be mainly in the main areas: kitchen, floors, bathrooms, but probably the roof, maybe the windows as well too. Painting, of course, could be a big one. Lighting, or um, electricity panels as well too. It's just the things that you can't see internally, and maybe some landscaping and any outside stuff, or maybe a new garage door, or just little stuff like that. Next one is going to be the gut job repairs. These are going to cost between $45 to $60 per square foot. These are going to go one or two ways. You demolish the property and start all over again, or you everything internally from the property, you bring it down to like the studs or like those wooden panels internally, and then you basically start all over from the inside from there. Of course, these are going to be the more longer time frame projects, but again, it really depends on how big the property is, how big like the land is, and of course, what kind of legality the land has in terms of if it can get converted to a multifamily property as well too, because that can definitely open up another opportunity whatsoever. Next, when looking at properties, is definitely you want to stick within certain restrictions and certain parameters, and some of these parameters are going to be the living space. When looking at comparables or comps, you definitely want to analyze properties within 300 square feet from the living space. Properties that are going to be more in terms of getting it analyzed based on the square footage of the lots, then you obviously have to analyze the lot. These are going to be more applicable to properties that are half an acre, quarter of an acre, 5, 10 acres, however big the property is going to be. It's just going to come across analyzing those type of properties. Next is going to be the radius. Whenever we're looking at properties and within the neighborhood, you definitely want to stick as close as you can to like the neighborhood. You are able to go some other to some other neighborhoods, but the further you start getting away from your subject property, then it is going to be you have to make some risks and some adjustments on the price, because again, you're getting further away from the actual neighborhood where your property is. Because when the property gets uh when the property gets reevaluated, then from there the appraiser is going to be looking mainly in that neighborhood and looking for the similar comps in that neighborhood. Again, the further you start going out then from that neighborhood, then you definitely have to make some price adjustments, no matter how similar the property is as well too. Which some of these neighborhoods get split up by major roads. Some of these major roads are going to have double yellow line roads. The last two live events, we came across properties where there are these land barriers or like tree barriers in between. That's something else that splits up more like the neighborhood that I've noticed. So it's very different per state, per city, per county. So it's always good to look through street viewers, so that way you can understand where the neighborhood is actually ending, because sometimes you are going to come across big roads, but it just happens to be a major road for that neighborhood whatsoever. Next, whenever looking at the comps, you definitely want to look at what properties have sold in the last 6 to 9 months. Those properties that have sold in the last 6 to 9 months, I got to tell you what the market has done in the past. That's a great time frame to always look at. But there are other time frames as well too, like the present. What's actually happening with the market right now is you got to be looking at properties that are currently pending or on the contract at the moment. That's telling you what's actually happening on the market at the moment. And then the last one is going to be looking at properties that are for sale. That's basically the future time frame where the properties haven't really sold, but it depends how the market is reacting at the moment. Or is the market reacting more based on the rates? If they're dropping even just a little bit, people are looking to acquire those properties already fixed up, or maybe they're just looking for properties that they're willing to do some projects themselves. So it really depends. So those three time frames are always going to be telling you a great amount of information, and I'm going to be walking through some of that so that way you guys can see some of the actual live stuff. Of course, now it just comes down to like the point of looking into the analysis. So let me stop sharing this and let's get to some analyzing. If you have like a specific address or a specific county you want to get analyzed, by all means, you can drop it in the chat. If there are not any, then I'll select my own random one from this random selector. And let me share this with you guys. Desktop. Awesome. All right, so here we go. So let me pull let's see what city we're able to get in the US today. Overland Park, Kansas. All right. Overland Park, Kansas. And Overland. Oh, I gotta look. Whenever I come across a city, I always like to look at the county. So Overland Park County, and the reason why is it just gives me like a bigger spectrum of other cities as well too. Because some cities are like really small, so the counties are always best to look at. So that way you can see what other opportunities are definitely going to be available. Overland Park. It is in what county? In Kansas, no, Johnson County. All right, let's go through Johnson County, Kansas. Johnson County, Kansas. And I'm gonna use Zillow. Let's see here. Zillow. Oh, for sold. No, let's look for some sale ones. All right. So our very first step, let's say I don't know Overland Park, Kansas whatsoever. It's a brand new market that I'm looking into for whatever reason. I network with an investor and they're like, I like Overland Park. So if you find properties in Overland Park in Kansas, then by all means, let me know. All right, cool. I don't know anything about it, but if the investor, he or she likes to invest in Overland Park in Kansas. So if I'm looking to this in a brand new market, the very first thing I want to understand is part of the CRM. The way I have it set up is step one, go through the markets, understand your market from the beginning. If you don't understand your market, start studying it, start seeing how long it takes for the properties to sell, start looking into what size of properties are selling, how far apart are they selling from the day it was listed, how long did it take to get sold as well too. So these are going to be little details that I'm going to be paying attention to. Step number two, once you get to know like your market very well, then by all means start looking for all types of investors, buyers, title companies, lenders, other wholesalers that can bring you some deals as well too. Contractors, if you want to start reaching out to them, appraisers, so that way you can whenever you want to get a property appraised or checked out really quick, so that way you can understand what the value will be, then it's really quick to make a call. Once you have like all those people out, especially with your buyers, you definitely want to have like your buy box or their buy box, how it is that they calculate like their deals as well too. Just put it in a little note. So what is it they like? They like single family, multifamily. Do they like fully updated, or do they like those properties that need some type of rehab? And of course, how do they purchase their properties as well too, if they were to be reaching out to um, a a homeowner or a seller? And additionally, do they like to pay cash or a cash or hard money? It's the same thing. Or do they like to finance a lot of their deals? And so understand those things, so that way you can start looking for those specific properties. And then once you have all those people lined up, or even just buyers overall, then start looking for those properties, and then go crazy looking for those specific properties. And then you're gonna be able to find it. Once you come across something, then it's gonna be easy for you to bring that opportunity to the investor, because it's pretty much down to their niche, down to what it is that they like to do. So first things first that we want to do is understand the market. So when it comes to Zillow and also Redfin, Johnson County, Kansas. Both of these are going to both Redfin and Zillow, they're brokers, so they have their own agents within the company, and pretty much Zillow and Redfin are really killers when it comes to like providing you some data. And when it comes to analyzing or looking into like a brand new market, what I always like to do is how much potential and opportunity has in this market. Is I like to scroll past all of the properties over here, and I'm gonna head over to this section where it says nearby Johnson County city homes. And what this is gonna do is gonna give me details of how much what cities are in that county, and additionally to how much are properties selling for in that city from that county. And the prices of these are right here on the right side are an overload of both the ugly properties with the brand new properties, including new construction homes as well too. So both of those two prices are going to be pretty much averaged together, and then we're going to get an average price point of how much properties are selling. So this automatically is our potential ARV. So whenever we're looking at a single property, and we start analyzing a property, all we have to do is what city is it on? All right. If it's in Leawood, properties in Leawood sell roughly around $720,000. How much is my property worth? Okay, I have a good amount of potential on this property, but what I have to do is, can my property sell for that $720,000 price point? Can it sell for more, or is it going to sell for less? That's all you pretty much have to do. You have to confirm, can it sell for more? Can it sell for less? Or is it right at its right price point overall? So what I'm going to be doing with this, I'm going to collect all of this data over here. I'm going to control copy, head back to my CRM, head over to my last slot over here, because these are some of the other counties that we analyzed on our live series. And then I'm going to head over to pay special and then just the values. And over here on the left side, these are going to be my potential ARVs, again, that I was just talking about. And then right here on the right side is my potential offers. So in Overland Park, because that's our city that got selected for today, in Overland Park, properties sell for $441,000. If my strategy right here in the top left corner is to like fix and flip, then I got to look for properties worth $308,000 and below. If my strategy is to buy and hold these properties, then my price point offer is going to be increasing, because buying and holding is more on the long term, and somebody's always willing to overpay in the long term at all whatsoever. But still, the numbers have to make sense in buying and holding, because it's going to be more of a rental property as well too. So let's look for some fixing and flipping. And for fixing and flipping, I can do two things. I can just strictly stick to Overland Park, or because in this point I did the whole county, I can definitely scroll down and then get the average price point of the whole county. So the whole county sells, properties can sell for $527,000. So I got to look for properties $350,000 or less. So I'm gonna set that as my first filter, where I'm gonna be putting a max of $350,000 price point. Awesome. There we go. We went from, I think it was like 1,200 properties down to 215. Next, I'm gonna select houses, of course, because I'm looking for houses. Next, I'm gonna be looking for minimum square footage that I've noticed properties sell for is 1,000 square feet. So I like 1,000 square feet and higher properties. And then from here, the last thing I like to do is I like to stay away from HOA companies. I mean, HOA neighborhoods. Where's it at? Where are you at? HOA, 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 HOA. Here we go. HOA, no HOA fee. Bam, there it is. It's because the reason why with HOA, you always have to like deal with their compliance, because all the properties are, or the homes are going to be looking the same. I mean, it really depends on what areas you are, what kind of investors like HOAs as well too. But whenever something needs to be done to a property with an HOA neighborhood, it really has to get approved. If you want to do something with the grass, it has to get approved. If you have like some you try and do some new marble flooring like on the outside for whatever reason, like that has to get approved. So it's just a pain in the butt with dealing with HOA. And the last thing I want to do is definitely want to look for properties that are selling the least to the highest, meaning low price to high price, because again, based on my research, properties in Overland Park or any other cities are going to be $300,000 or close to like $300,000 and above. So if I'm finding some deals close to like $200,000, like off the bat over here, then we definitely have a good opportunity. Now, the thing is, whenever I'm hovering over it, I'm also looking at the map to see where it is. Is it more like in um inside of Overland Park, or are we heading over towards like the rural areas out there with the more like farm style? And again, we have properties that we have to compare in terms of acres. So that's something I'm paying attention to with this map, seeing where there is this $200,000 one. It's like over here by New Century. So it's still kind of a little bit further out. Over here, we're getting close to like the edge. We're over here by Heavencroft. So let's check out this one, because this one just got listed about 10 hours ago. But let's see what kind of opportunity we have with this one, because it is a big house, even though it's like one level home. So it's a big home, 2,000 square feet. Let's see. Externally, nothing too crazy. It looks probably like a daycare. I think it is a daycare. So I think this is more like a business. If anything, let me just see. Oh yeah, it definitely is a daycare. So it is a big home because it is a daycare. Um, It's just converting it back to like a house. I gotta check out the neighborhood to see how the other houses look like as well too. Additionally, whenever looking at other houses nearby or looking at comps, I pay attention, like, is there any other investors in the area? Like, is there anybody coming in like fixing up properties in this area? So this is more of a daycare. Nothing too crazy internally. Definitely have to do like some little updates internally. But again, I definitely want to check it out. The only thing I don't like about this, it's how big it is. Because again, I was mentioning that I like properties that sell is usually properties at 1,000 to like 1,400, maybe 1,500. They'll sell the quickest, but closer to like 2,000, sometimes they take a little bit of a long time for them to sell. So and then this one is brand new. It's just fresh as well too. So I'm gonna consider this property more as a commercial. Whatsoever. Like you see right over here, this is more of a home style, 1,000 square feet. This is a property that looks like it got fixed up and it got flipped, is getting flipped. This is really close to our property home, but this is what I'm talking about. This is one of these comps that you definitely want to be pulling, properties that again are fixed up, really they did like a color scheme externally. Um, Possibly the windows, possibly not. And internally, this is where all the masterpieces come in together. Internally, it's going to be flooring, paint, doors, door handles, bathroom, kitchen, maybe some carpeting as well too. Possibly some of the windows as well too, because I noticed some of them didn't get updated. Bathroom with the vanity. I mentioned flooring. They didn't update the appliances, which is a little bit weird, but okay. But this is an example of a comp if I were to look for property. So if I see this available and it's only been on the market for 4 days, this is a great opportunity. So this is another strategy I like to look for, is I like to see where properties are getting fixed up and where they're located. Because where this property, wherever this is located, where's it at? Right over here in this area, then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for other opportunities out here. So I will zoom in. I will create like a circle. Where's it at? Oh, this is perfect. This is a great example right over here. Is this entire square of properties? I would just target these properties right over here, because one, I have a potential investor who is already doing some work on this property. The property has only been listed for 4 days, so we still waiting to see how much it is. But if I know the square footage, 1,000 square feet, and then I see how much the property is being sold for, then that's already giving me a green light. Like, look, there's already some risk being taken over here. So let me look for some other properties and then target this investor on anybody else, because this is going to be one of the comps that is going to be getting pulled automatically as an example of it. And if this investor is doing it here, I have to check out the history of if there's any other properties that have sold that got fixed up and flipped in this area as well too. Um, so that way, I want to determine, is this the first investor in this area? So somebody already took like the first risk, or is this like investor number 300 because there's other properties over here that have sold that got fixed up and flipped as well too. So I usually like to target those areas where the risk has already been taken into consideration and somebody is already investing into that area. So that's something else I like to point out to you guys if you guys want to use that um, um, as your own strategy to acquire some properties wherever properties are getting fixed up. Here's another example. This is a good one as well too. So I'm not seeing a lot of fixer upper properties. It looks like a lot of these are really well maintained properties. So going back to the repairs section, if I'm looking at repairs, a lot of these are very minimal light repairs. So very minimal light repairs are going to be properties that are being rented out, like that daycare one. That's more of a commercial one. Maybe we can help them out, keep if they want to keep like the business. If not, then you just got to move on forward and maybe transition the property. But a lot of these are really updated and in great condition. So these are going to be, they're not going to need a lot of work at all whatsoever. So these are going to be properties that are going to be mainly in terms of like renting wise. Here we have a good project, 1144. Okay, not bad, but it is a little bit priced. It is a little bit overpriced. That's the only thing. It is really close to, but what city we're at? Overland Park. We go back to our CRM. Overland Park properties sell for $441,000. So where is it? Where is that at in terms of like the numbers? So let me put in some numbers over here. Because I like this one so far because it is a little bit outdated, but nothing too crazy. 270. So here, let me put in the price point, $270,000, and then 441 is the potential ARV. So the property is selling at 61 cents on the dollar. So once it gets fixed up, I mean that's not too bad at all whatsoever. Can we push this number to come down to like the 40s, 50s? We can definitely can, but again, we have to get proved, can the comps prove us that the property can sell for $441,000? That's the thing that we have to confirm. Can it sell for that 441 price point? Because what this property needs, if we look at it, definitely, we can definitely take off the carpet. Definitely need some new painting, lighting, change the lighting, fixtures as well too, paint, flooring, lighting. Just those three are gonna make it a huge difference automatically. Of course, like the kitchen, definitely update like the kitchen. I'm not sure if these are granite countertops or these like the plastic ones, or like that wood soft wood ones. Definitely got to do like the bathroom. Here, let me start listing some of these things over here. So definitely got to do flooring, got to do paint, internal paint. Got to do the bathroom, got to do the kitchen, got to do some lighting as well too. What else do we need over here? Um, Bring new appliances possibly as well too. That looks fine. But maybe like another bathroom. That's gonna be paint over here and the flooring on the bedrooms. And maybe if anything, just change like the external paint as well too. It's just this is looks a little bit faded. So bring something that will bring more light and more make it pop again. Bring it up to 2024 standards as well too. Um, so that's gonna be the main things that I would do personally to this property overall. So that's the list of everything right there. So if we look at that, that we're looking more like on the average side, but it's not gonna be like an expensive average side. It's gonna be like very minimal because the property looks like it was well maintained overall. What's the square footage? 1144. So this will be going back to the repairs. This is going to be more in the average repairs, so $25. So 1144 the square footage of the property. I will say probably $35 per square foot. So roughly $40,000 worth of repairs for this. I know Kansas is very cheap as well too, so it's not going to be too crazy. But roughly $40,000 worth of repairs. If we go back to the numbers, we need 40. Yeah, I'm gonna leave $40,000 worth of repairs right there. So the property is selling for 270. I gotta look at the comps, but the potential ARV is telling me 441. We need $40,000 worth of repairs. The investor is willing to purchase it at 70% of the ARV. So far we have our price points of where the investors' offers are gonna be coming in, not our offers. Our offers are gonna be a little bit right here on the right side if I want to buy it at 240. So again, now we're heading over towards this section right over here where we're trying to see how much are we able to get it under contract. So this is telling me between 240 to 260. So let's go with like 250. If we're able to only get it like very low on the price point. So this is telling me that the property is priced right on the spot. But again, it doesn't hurt to push it a little bit more. 240. Was it two? Let me push it to like 240. What would 240 look like for the investor? So again, we're getting closer to like 50 cents like on the dollar. So again, I was trying to see can we push it more, but we still haven't confirmed the comps at all. So let's go through that process really quick. So I'm gonna leave our subject property open, go back over here, find out where's it located. I'm gonna set the boundary as well to the property. Let me remove these price points. Let me remove these price points. Let Zillow do its thing. Take forever, aka. All right, looks like Zillow just wants to take its own freaking time for whatever reason. Come on, refresh, refresh. If you guys have any questions, meanwhile, this thing decides to like load up, by all means, you guys can drop your questions. All right, here we go. 270. So remember, if you guys remember earlier, looking at comps, it's good to look at what has sold. That's the time frame of what has happened in the past of the market. But I also want to look at the future, aka what's for sale, and I want to look at the present time frame, basically what's under contract at the moment. So let me set these filters where I'm looking within my square footage of my property. So we're gonna go plus or minus 300. 1140. I can't do 800, so it has to be 750. And then there's no 1400, so I gotta stick with 1500 over here. And additionally to our subject property, is it on the main road? Don't tell me it's on the main road. That's the other thing too. The street viewer, I think it's right on the road. Oh, it's on the edge. Okay. So I'm glad it's been a while since I've gotten a property like this. We got a major double yellow line road right over here, aka this is our borderline. Even no matter how similar the properties over here in this neighborhood, again, we can pull it as a comp, but we have to make some price adjustments. But the thing is with this property sitting on the edge, or any properties that is always sitting on the edge, no matter what neighborhood it is, if it's on the right side, on the left side, if it's behind it, if it's in front of it, just look at the amount of flow of traffic every single day, not just commuters, buses, construction trucks, whatever it is that drives through this major road. The worst case scenario you can always think about, especially with insurances, is dealing with those insurances. So these properties that are lined up or that are on the edge of these major roads, again, if it's behind them, in front of them, to the left, to the right of it, are going to be a high risk property. So automatically it's going to be a $10,000 price point of reduction automatically. Sorry, not 10,000, 10% automatically reduction on the price point, because anything can really happen. You have a worst case scenario, just knock on wood, it doesn't ever really happen to anybody. But you have somebody who's been drinking and then they just end up crashing to your house. That is like the worst experience to like ever experience whatsoever. Not that I have, but it's just like just imagining the nightmares that is going to be coming across that. It's just a high risk profile property that you're coming across, especially with this huge amount of flow of traffic automatically. Just by seeing that overloads, semi trucks over there. Again, it's just a high risk. So all of these properties lined up on all of these sides, these are going to be very high risk properties. So if you ever come one across where again you have a major road, and the major road is in front of the property, behind it, to the left or to the right of it, automatically take off 10% of the price point or whatever the seller is asking just because of that major high risk road. Just off the bat, no questions asked. It just has to be automatically done because again, it is a high risk property at all whatsoever. And another thing I did not notice is this property has been sitting for 71 days. I'm sure if I bring like an offer in that I like the description, just 3-2. I didn't know I didn't know that that was really good from the agent. But this is automatically a great price, a great property just because of how long it's been sitting. So I can definitely negotiate the price point again closer to like that 240, or I can even push it down to like 200, honestly. So it really depends on the motivation from the seller. But again, looking at the comps, just where the property is sitting, again, it is a high risk profile property. So if you ever come across for it, just know in the future you can definitely do that. And what I'm noticing is my county is like stopping over here. So I am going to remove this boundary because I need to set up my neighborhood boundary. So I need to find out where the major roads are at, which we know 87th Street is definitely one of them. And it looks like we have like a huge neighborhood right over here. So this we have like the freeway, that's gonna be my road right over here, 87th Street. Then I'm gonna close it off this. So that's my neighborhood. This is where I should be looking for my comps for my property. We have this other one, 1176, selling for 250. So this is a little bit bigger than our subject property, but the price point is less. So you guys see, automatically we can push this property on the price point. Because again, I'm looking for what's selling. Now, just by pressing a single button, pending under contract, I'm able to see where other properties are selling for. We have this one for 285. Uh, awesome. Great comp. Externally, they didn't do much. Internally, amazing. Looks really good. Great flooring. The painting looks like this is probably like a homeowner that are selling their property. Um, but just great flooring, great kitchen, granite countertops. I'm sure the bathroom is going to be updated, new paint as well too. I think this might be like the basement, as well too. So they even did like the basement. Yeah, this is the basement for sure. So they even updated the basement, probably rent out like the basement, if anything, but a really great property overall. And selling price point is it is 285. So this is not a fixed up property and getting flipped at all. This is like a homeowner selling their property. It's really well maintained and updated as well too. Um, what is it selling for? 246 per square foot. Our subject property is 1144, so 246. We're getting 281. Eek. Now getting close to that 441 price point. So again, we definitely are going to be pushing the property at all whatsoever. Because again, this is pending and under contract at the moment. What about this one? 1,008, 283 per square foot. Um, Okay, well maintained, still really good. Not a fix and flip property, it's just a well maintained property. Not a granite countertop at all whatsoever, but it's okay. Just fresh paint, great flooring, uh, and great bathroom lighting as well too, very minimal. Um, this looks like it was like a 2014, 2015 update, if anything. Um, Nothing too crazy on the basement at all, just like the other property, to maybe even have like a tenant down there. Price point 283. What is that gonna push us to? 1144. It's pushing us to 323 on the price point. Okay. But now where the master comes into place is at least we know where properties are selling in terms of like their price point. So honestly, that if I'm seeing two $285,000 properties, then that's my highest price point based on what's pending under contract. But the last thing I gotta look for is I gotta look what has sold. Oh man. And this could be a nightmare right here. So whenever you see dashes, what this means is this is a non-disclosure state. There are about, I think, 10 to 12 non-disclosure states. And non-disclosure states basically they don't tell you how much the property ended up selling for. So that sucks. So we gotta do a deep research on how much properties actually sold for, but let me look for properties that have sold in the last 6 months. And then for these, I'm gonna set up the price high and I can't even set price high. It's just not gonna do it. Let me look for the newest ones. But we definitely gotta look through some of these pictures if there's anything available. But we can look at the history though. That's the cool thing. We can still look at the history. So this is one. This is a 1,400 square foot home. So that's not gonna really do it. So actually, let me go by square feet. I gotta stay away from, was it 1144? I can't do simple math right now in my mind for some reason. 1444. Oh yeah, I can use it. So let me go with this one. I like this one. 1450. Okay, this was the last price point was 379. Oh, okay. So 262 per square foot. Where's my calculator? So here, I'm just gonna do this real quick. 262 per square foot. Um, Let me look at another comp really quick. What's the next one? This one, 1404. This one, the last pending sale, 271 per square foot. I'm just trying to average out these price per square foot price points so I can look at how much I can get out of it. Because I'm seeing 370, basically 380, another $70,000 worth of opportunity. In January, okay, this is a good one. Well maintained, updated, basement, nothing too crazy. And this could be a good one. Oh, pending sale 250 in December. I'm pushing that one now at this point. February 29th. This is not a good comp at all. What about this one? This looks like a rental one. 1120 on the square footage. Okay. Pending 285 or 254 per square foot. I'm gonna play it safe and go with that square footage. So average between these three is gonna be 262. So 262 times my 1144 square footage is gonna give me a price point of $300,000. Yikes. So let me put that as my ARV, $300,000. And that's really pushing my price point now, or where my offer should be up. But the investors looking to get between 170 and 182. Our subject property is at 270. So that's asking for $100,000 of a difference of a price point at all whatsoever. Um, so that's really going to be a big challenge to like push it up. I mean, it doesn't really hurt to do it. One, the property has already been sitting for almost 3 months. So we can definitely ask at all and figure out like what is like the lowest they're willing to take. Because the thing what sucks about this is non-disclosure states are really challenging on seeing where they're going to be at. Um, where the price points are at as well too. So this is what really sucks about it. Unless I'm able to get like these are going to be smaller properties, so I'm pushing that too much. So these comps, the one that I just pulled on these averages are going to be pretty much it. Like there's nothing major that I can do at all whatsoever. But the thing is, there are other investors in the area, so I definitely like that fact. It's just again pushing the price point. It would be good if we can push it towards like the 380s. That would make a little bit more sense. Just like how some of these were selling like 370s. Because that I know for sure pushing it that $70,000 price point more will make a huge difference overall. and we can definitely work with this. This is where I was looking for, that I was hoping for us to get, like 220, 230, because that will definitely push it towards like 50 cents like on the dollar, maybe like 48 cents on the dollar, if anything. Uh, but oh, the ARV dropped a little bit, so yeah. So it's still 60 cents in the dollar. Yeah, so that's what I was hoping for. But $300,000, yeah, that's definitely not gonna be working at all whatsoever. Because the way it would go is the investor needs to get it, how much the investor is gonna be investing in. So we get the property for under contract for 220. The assignment, this is however much we want to push it towards. Of course, they want to get like a deal out of it. So let's say we push it for like 240 for them. It'll be like a $20,000 wholesale fee. They're going to be investing $302,000, and what that concludes of is the assignment of sale. They're going to be paying the seller's closing costs. They're going to be paying for the repairs, or the minimal up the average repairs updates. So they're going to be investing $302,000. Whenever they resell the property, they resell for 370, or aka the ARV. List it up with an agent, do the closing costs again. Their revenue is going to be 336,000, but minus their expenses of 302, they're only left with $34,000 worth of profit. I mean, it really depends on the investors if they really like that. Also, how long is it going to take for the property to sell? Based on the work that it needed, it could be very minimal. So honestly, 2 to 3 months, it can be relisted all over again. It should be really, really quick at all whatsoever. So, $34,000 in a span of like 4 months, it really depends on the investor who's willing to take on that. Now, based on what I was seeing on the neighborhood, there was a lot of rental properties, or a lot of there looked like there was a lot of more rental properties in the area. So if we were to analyze it in terms of like renting wise, then that's going to be a way better spectrum, possibly, because the strategy is going to be changing at all whatsoever now. So we changed this to like 80%. Again, the investors, we're going to be really close to like the asking price of what the property is selling for. But that, again, that's selling for 370. But let's go back to that 300 ARV. But again, still they're gonna be pushing for that price point. But the repairs are definitely gonna be dropping. They're not gonna be doing major repairs. They're gonna be doing rental repairs. And based on the square footage of the property, 1144, and those live repairs are gonna be $10 to $20 per square foot, right over here. So we're gonna multiply our square footage times, let's go with like 15. So $15,000 worth of repairs, again, just to keep it very minimal. I again, yeah, they can definitely push it up, and then that's a little bit more reasonable as well too. But again, the rental section is still gonna be a little bit more of a more analyzing, because we have to figure out like how much can these properties, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1440, 1,400 square foot homes is what are being rented out there. This is 1,100, so this could be really easily rented out as well too. But yeah, it's just the price point of the ARV. That's the biggest thing, is going back to our market research, is whenever you have that number on your potential ARV, whatever subject property you come across, you have to confirm, can it sell for that potential ARV? Can it go for more? Can it go for, is it going to go for less, or is it going to be right at the price point of that potential ARV? So every single property, you always want to confirm, can it sell for much? And then just based on the numbers that we're getting on the price per square foot and comparing it to our subject property, then by all means, uh, it's the numbers are going to be right there telling you how much it can actually sell for. But it comes really challenging when we come across states that are non-disclosure states, because we don't have any of these price points. So you have to do like a deeper research as well too. You could probably go through like the county records, if anything, but non-disclosure states really, really suck when it comes to looking for these. And what I am seeing as well too, like I was mentioning earlier, whenever you're looking at comps, look at what has actually sold as well too. Even just by changing like the time frame, instead of 6 months in the last 3 months, what has actually sold: 1,400, 1,300, 1,260, 1,200, and then we have like two almost 900 square foot homes. But the majority of them in the last 9 months, just in this area, are mainly 1,200 square feet and higher. So, I mean, our subject property is not too far out from it, but again, what sells is what you should be looking for in that area as well too. So that's a big key thing that I like to look for. So if anything, if I were to just change the square footages, um, on what's for sale in this area, I'll definitely want to look more towards properties that are 1,200. So if I see these two listings over here and I want to target all of these homeowners, I want to look for 1,200 square feet and higher. So that way we can make like a deal work more towards like 1,300, honestly, I would say. So I'll say 1,250 and higher, and then bam, target all those 1,200, 1,250 square foot and higher properties. So that way we can see what sellers are interested on selling that own the property. They own the property for 15, 20, 30 years already, and they might be interested in selling. They might be moving out. They might be downsizing. They just might be relocating. They just don't want to deal with the property at all whatsoever because maybe they inherited the property. So there's going to be X amount of reasons, and you got to target all those X amount of reasons, but we got to target what's actually selling in that area at all whatsoever. So hopefully that's able to give you guys like a lot of insight in like analyzing. I overanalyze, but overanalyzing gives me more information. And when it comes to that information, I like to stick to what actually works, and what actually sells. So yeah, if you guys have like any questions, you guys are able to unmute yourselves. If you have like anything specific in terms of like analyzing, in terms of like looking to like the comps, numbers, or whatever it is, this is that time for that Q&A. So I'll leave it open to you guys if you happen to have like any questions at all whatsoever. No questions. Let me go to chat. Oh, thank you. Of course, my pleasure. My pleasure. No other questions. How much? Oh, I got a few people on. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, then I'll wrap it up pretty much at that. This gets recorded, so if you guys want to rewatch it, if you missed something or if you want to retouch on something all over again, by all means. Again, this is going to be available to rewatch on my website, eltonvargas.com/education. Um, and the next event is going to be on, when is it at? On Sunday. Sunday, at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys happen to be coming back again, thank you. I really appreciate you guys coming back. And if you have like a property or you want to, if you have a specific market you want me to get analyzed, by all means, bring that over. We'll definitely love to help you guys out. And that's pretty much it for today. So I really appreciate you guys coming in today. Thank you for your hospitality. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. You guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.